Welcome back to Kearney Creek Farm, and today I wanted to go over something I talked about a couple months ago in a video, and that was my original screwdrivers I bought probably back in the late 80s, and I didn't have much money back then, so I bought these basic Stanley screwdrivers here, one in Phillips and one in slotted, and I wanted to bring up the fact that back when I didn't have much money, I was still able to afford made in USA tools, but it wasn't a big deal back then. Most things like this were made in the US. But this got me going down a rabbit hole. So whenever I see a garage sale or a yard sale, I stop by to see if I can find more of these old school made in USA tools because they do hold up pretty well. Like I said, I've had these since the late 80s and they're still in decent condition. Sure, they're a little patina, a little wear on them, and there's some paint on there or something. But overall, they're still serviceable items. So I wanted to show what I found recently at a couple garage sales. Kind of going along with these guys, I found a matching longer slotted to kind of go with that set. And then I found this kind of a faded made in the USA one. The font is a little bit, it's kind of the same, but one's painted, and this one either is just really worn down, or you can actually kind of feel the whatever the stamp it or something. You can feel kind of that on there. These are more smooth, so this might have been an earlier version, but I thought it was kind of cool, that full set. And then along with that, I found this guy here, which is kind of the reverse. They painted yellow on here instead of the black on the yellow, so yellow on black. So it's a little bit different, but I think they're kind of cool. And I found these for, you can find for 50 cents a piece, $1 a piece. I kind of spent somewhere in there. So that was those. And then I found on two different occasions, I didn't know I'd end up buying pretty much almost the same thing. I think one's like a number 2 and one's a number 1 Phillips, I want to say. These are both Stanley USA. I do like the yellow with the blue. It's kind of a cool contrast. A little bit of rust inside that one. But again, these are probably, they're probably at least, 20 years old if I had to guess, and they're doing pretty good as far as holding up. The tips still look usable. They're not all broken and smashed down. So the thing about finding screwdrivers at garage sales and yard sales is most people aren't professionally using them. These are just things they keep in their shop or the drawer in their kitchen, and they just kind of get used, but not very heavily used. So it's kind of cool. And this day and age where everyone's complaining about, things should be made in the US more, things need to be made by Americans, I get it. But when all these things are sitting in someone's garage somewhere and eventually they'll put them for sale, how can you do better than paying $1 a screwdriver for a USA made tool? I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. Let's take a look and see what else I got here. Got this number 3 Stanley screwdriver here, still has the model number on there. It's not too bad. The tip still looks pretty good. And then I found a couple other that kind of match that yellow and red, and this guy here. This is a slotted, kind of a longer one, Stanley USA. I don't know what it is about these old Stanley USA tools, but I really dig them. This one's a little more beat up. It's not as kind of clear and glowing as the other one is, but it's also a made in USA Stanley that kind of goes along with that same set. And a couple oddballs I found. One of them was this Stanley Handyman, which I thought was kind of cool. A little short slotted screwdriver. Still in decent condition. Again, it's kind of worn down, but it's going to work. And actually, I don't really use these. I more just collect them just for the novelty of it. But I don't know. It's something about preserving American history. And I guess this is kind of my history because at the age I am, I remember when these things were on the shelf. So it's not ancient history, but it's still pretty cool to me. And here's a Stanley 100 Plus. I think that's a number 2 square drive or Robertson or whatever you want to call it on the internet. I've gotten my ass chewed before by calling something a square drive, and was, people said Robertson, and I'm like, okay, well, whatever. Yeah, again, I think it's pretty damn cool. So what do you guys think? Do you guys go out there and go garage sailing, yard sailing, and finding these little gems? Or do you just stick to buying new stuff? And I buy new stuff not all the time, but pretty frequently I'll go out and buy new stuff. But the more and more I buy these, the more and more I'm tempted just to keep buying old school USA made tools. But that's it for today. Thanks for coming by the farm, and we'll talk to you next time.